Before we begin, I wanted to apologize for the video quality and in general, the state of this assembly video that I'm doing. I just wanted to point out that something better will come in the future. I'm going to make either a fusion animation or a proper manual or anything that's better than this. But I had some time to kill and I'm going through a very hard time right now. Terrible heartbreak, so I decided to just get this project over with and share my little creation with the world. So I hope you can appreciate it regardless, and stay safe.
Hey everyone, just wanted to make a quick video on how to assemble my Omni micro extruder. So first of all, I've already prepared the parts, as in putting bearings in place and assembling the idler arms, because this is intuitive. So let's get straight to it. So when I take this part here, and you'll find that there are three choices. There is regular one, 0.2 and 0.4 squish compensation. Basically what happens is between this and the housing core, the first layer often gets squished to a point where the gear goes like beyond the filament path, and there's really no way you can go back. So I made 3 STLs so you can find the right one that you can get the 50T to be perfectly aligned and not move either forwards or back. So this will take a few tries, but I would advise to just use the regular one without added thickness to start. And if you notice that your gear set goes above the filament path, then you want to try another one with more clearance. And about this part, you want to print it in a filament that has an HDT that is preferably higher than the hottest temperature that your motor will get at, and that's because this mounting point here is very thin. It's pretty much the only way I could make this work. A metal version, I'm thinking about it, but it's not a concrete possibility right now, but it could become so in the future if this project gains traction. So first of all, you want to take your motor and get it on there, and then you take the ultra flat bolt with the 0.2mm shim and you gently get it on there. And as soon as you feel friction, you stop. It should be able to move freely. Then you want to take this part right here and bolt it down just barely. This is because you need to work on the filament path. So make sure that it's aligned. The part here with a little indicator has to go here. You want to get a hex key, the seam that you use to tighten the bolts, into the filament channel, and you want to pass it through the whole thing. Now I've already done this, so there's not really much friction here. But if you're doing this for the first time, it might be a little hard, and in that case I recommend using 4 bolts. Just get that thing fixed in place, or else you could deform it or crack it depending on what filament you used. So once you feel that it can go in and out smoothly, it means that you've done what was necessary, and now you can take it apart. So then you want to take one of the driving gears and you put it on there with the shim. I usually start with the shim, and if things, if I don't end up needing it, I remove it, but most of the time it just, it just works to have it there. It would be advisable to choose one of the Bowden couplers that you want to use. I'm just going to go with this one because it's the smallest one, and it's the one I prefer. And make sure that the alignment is right. Now, if you're mounting the extruder flipped, you might notice that these Bowden caps don't fit. I don't know if any tool head yet needs it. So if it ends up being a necessity, I will do it. Okay, so once you've secured that, you can go ahead and put it on here. And this one, you want it to be kind of tight. And make sure that you're using the shim here for the motor bolt. So this is the most important step in the build. Take a piece of paper and cut it to about the thickness of the 50T And now you want to insert it between the spur and the 50T. Oh wait, no, actually, I'm forgetting something. You want to take your housing front. I'm using this one. There are 3 options because you want the drive gear here to be fully secured. And at this point, you might want to inspect your drive gear. You can even insert some filament in there just to see if the teeth are aligned or not. In my case, it seems like it's okay. And this is by using the normal STL, so no added clearances. And now you want to put it between the spur and the 50T and rotate until you see it forms the pattern. And you want to direct it to the other side. And now you gently push the motor into the 50T. So you make sure that it meshes properly. Now with the 10T motor, you shouldn't really be pushing much because it should already be almost aligned, you know, when it's in the most open position. But you want to, you know, try and get it on there. And you want to turn this and make sure that it can go a full turn without adding resistance or being too loose in a few spots. You want to make sure that you hear no clicking while the paper is inserted. So once you've had a bit of a run with it, you need to tighten this bolt down. This will end up deforming the plastic, and it's pretty much a one-try thing. Now I've had a success in having multiple tries, but this was only when I switched motor. So I had a 10T and then a 6T, meaning that I had to travel further. So you know, the plastic deformed in a different way and not exactly the same. So you want to be careful when you do this. But once it's done, and I advise on using a little bit of thread locker here, you want to rotate until the paper is out of the way. And then you need to check, and you want to hear the faintest possible clicking when you rotate, and it should be uniform throughout the whole rotation. So if you have this, you know you've done a good job. If you, no matter how much you try, you can't have the same exact clicking throughout the whole rotation, then it means your gear is not perfectly centered, or it's just manufacturing tolerances. I've never really bothered so much. Like usually I just follow this procedure once, never worry about it again. But you know, everyone's experience might be different. I'm also using original Bondtech gears and not any other vendors, so I don't know, your mileage may vary. So yeah, once you've done this, you can take this apart, and you want to be very careful when you undo these bolts, because you shouldn't really shake the motor much at all. It has to stay where it is, because remember, this is structural for the motor. So now you put in the second gear set, and it's shim. Get this thing back on, and this time you want to tighten it for real, and be very careful with the motor bolts. This is on now, and what you want to do now is take your idler arms and put them on. So I'm using a smooth driving idler and geared reverse idler. Now you may notice that there is a sort of a bump here. So I have made sure that it cannot travel so much in that the tension between the two arms has to be wildly different. So it was a way to equalize that. And now you want to put the front housing back on. Oh, wouldn't you look at this? Fuck's sake. So now what you want to do is assemble tensioners. So you take the bolts with the shims, and you want to take your spring that you cut in half, or you know, the other springs, and you want to take your springs that you cut in half, and if you don't want to cut it in half, you can just use the original tensioners, just, you know, like that. But the way I did this is to reduce the footprint of the extruder, the horizontal footprint. You cut a spring in half, preferably 2, and you match the closest height of the 2 springs. So you want to take it and use the flat side here, and then you align, well, you want to match the spring's orientation, you know, the skew, with the printed part. And I measured this to be around 14 degrees. And you want to then assemble it like so. I'm using some green ABS, run it through, and adjust the tension. I usually just go until my fingers are unable to turn the hex key from, you know, without grabbing the handle. Some might say that there is no correct tension, that you can just crank it, and I did that once, but it really depends on your hot end, I think, or rather on how smooth the inner canal of your hot end is, because if the filament gets too deformed, it may lock up in some places. For example, Rapido hot ends will not like a filament that is too much deformed. So anyway, this is now with full tension, and what you want to do is just take it out and examine the filament. And I'm not gonna really tell you what to judge or how, because I'm not that knowledgeable on it myself, but I usually can just feel when it's too much or too little. You just look at how much you have bit into the filament. And anyway, that's it. Don't worry about the tensioners here rotating like this. It's on purpose. And yeah, the extruder is done. If you want to mount it to a tool head that has the possibility of a third bolt, there's this option here. And I think everything else is stated on the page.